been cheated for 2 years, and now he says I owe him another chance.
Too many.
I'm 32 female. My husband is 34 male. We've been together basically our entire adult life. 13 years together,
Dang.
almost 5 married. One day, I followed a gut feeling and found messages on his phone. They were sporadic, and some were clearly deleted, but what remained wasn't good. I also found Instagram messages between him and a girl, including videos of marriage proposal ideas. By the way, this comes from Overall Confection 57, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
I'm Sophia.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. This girl had been a problem for a long time. She knew he was married, and I was always uncomfortable with their relationship. Turns out I was right. At some point, I found the courage to message her. They'd been together for 2 years. It went deep and personal. He'd met her family and child. No one from his family knew. None of our friends knew. It was absolutely devastating. The lies he told her were pathological. He said we were divorced, that he wasn't living with me when he was, and made up court dates. I felt like I married a stranger. The summer that followed was incredibly difficult. When I initially confronted him, he was defensive and cruel. I stupidly gave him a chance to end it with her in front of me, but he didn't take it. It blew up when others found out, especially his family, who I'm extremely close to, more so than him. They were ready to disown him. After I shared the detailed information and his parents confronted him, he asked for forgiveness. At the same time, his mistress sent me messages showing him still maintaining the lie, saying they were strong together and begging her. We were all in shock. A couple of weeks later, he went into therapy and acted like none of it happened, claiming he was confused because of the uproar. I was obviously hurt because I gave up everything for him. He stayed in therapy and claimed to be trying to change, yet there was really no action on his part. I felt so conflicted because I gave up so much for him, and I'm close to his family. It's like I'm losing everything. I felt cultural pressure to stay and didn't want to look like an idiot to my family, who didn't want me to marry him because of religion, not his personality. I thought I wanted to work it out, but he barely showed me he was progressing or rebuilding trust. I was sick of giving him instruction manuals and him doing nothing. He was spiraling because he was embarrassed, and I was annoyed he kept putting his mental health and emotions on me when this was self-inflicted. He said he wanted to work at it and give me everything I ever wanted, but shouldn't I have had that from the beginning?
I genuinely don't think it's possible to work on a relationship where you have a partner who's cheated on you for like a year or more. Like when it's been a long-term lie, I just would be shocked that anyone could get over that type of betrayal.
It's such a deep, evil betrayal that he's not fully acknowledging. Coming home to me every day for years while doing that. I think I want to move forward with divorce despite wanting my family together, but I feel like I'll also be a disappointment to everyone. To my parents who will say, I told you so. If your parents still come back and now say, I told you so, they're kind of being little a-holes.
Yeah,
there.
If they don't come to you and are supporting you and saying, I'm so sorry for what you went through, then, you know, maybe it's time to limit contact with them.
I don't know anything else besides him. We've been together for so long and so many things are tied together. I wish I could move on and try, but I feel like I'll never stop thinking about it. About how deep it went or how long it would have gone on had I not found out. I feel like I know what's best, but when I see or talk to him, I waver because of history and family. We have an update.
No, you absolutely need to this. He doesn't want to fix this. He doesn't want to fix this.
He does
what
not.
Like what has he done to show you he wants to fix this?
I'm officially at 6 months separation and
Yay!
will hopefully be filing soon.
Yay!
My soon-to-be ex is doubling down and has made what should have been an easy process difficult. I did 1 round of couples therapy with him because I wanted a neutral party to get my statements across. He didn't like being called out. I tried to reach an agreement on our home, but he only wants to talk about saving the marriage. He is now being hostile and refuses to discuss selling. He believes I owe him a chance and need to take ownership of my part in this, that I need to listen to his feeling. He believes cheating is a two-way street. I had a lawyer on retainer, thankfully, and I'm hoping she can help force the divorce. When he left the house after our conversation, I found a hole in the wall. He said he tripped down the stairs and that happened.
Yeah, you didn't punch a hole in the wall because you were upset because your wife is leaving you because you cheat her?
Your little baby was sad about it. I'm a little scared and went to my parents' house. They're supportive despite me thinking they wouldn't be.
Yay, I'm so glad. I thought they would be, but I'm glad that they are.
He apologized earlier today for how the conversation went and wants to talk again. But at this point, what else is there to say? I don't know why I have so much anxiety, why I start feeling bad and like I'm making a mistake, even though I've already decided. I'm scared of everything and he doesn't know I left. I miss my home and my bed and my comfort. I really wanted this to be amicable. And I'm still hoping he will be, but who knows? My lawyer is planning on serving him soon if he doesn't cooperate, which will cause a storm. I feel so lost and wish he could just be respectful of my decision like he said he would be in the beginning. After much back and forth, I finally filed for divorce!
Yes!
And we are in the process of selling our home. It's been extremely hard letting go of the house since it was bought in 2019 at a low interest rate. I'm afraid I'll never have an opportunity to own again, but I don't really have an option. Our agreement states that I'll receive more equity, which is at least a plus. Prior to filing, he wasn't signing papers. I hired a PI, private investigator, to get evidence of adultery that I could use to file a fault divorce if he hadn't agreed. The PI found he was living with his mistress the entire time we were separated.
Oh, separated. I was about to say how, but wow. Yeah, he better not get anything.
Including during the time he wanted to reconcile. And we had that therapy session. I was definitely shocked and disgusted. He also took a trip with her during this time, telling others he was going with me. Again, disgusting. He's been actively trying to find ways to reconcile with me, even since filing and agreeing to divorce. I've been thoroughly confused since he's still with her and has been seen out with her. He denies everything.
How is she staying with him, though? You know,
I mean,
she
knows
knows
about it the whole time.
Yeah.
He denies everything, even with proof. He keeps sending me messages, trying to have conversations about working it out, getting remarried, doing whatever to be with me again. He won't leave me alone. I don't understand why he keeps trying with me while still living with the affair partner and denying it to everyone. The house is the last thing tying me to him, and I feel like he's prolonging the process on purpose. I wanted to keep it, but I think it's easier to just let it go at this point, to be rid of him. I don't understand his motivations. He insists he's changed, says he's been in therapy and on medications, but his action says otherwise. He can't take no for an answer from me, even though he's still with her. It feels traumatizing for him to be saying all these things when he should have tried before and not now. But again, he's still with her. This is crazy, and sometimes I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about everything happening. I'm just tired. Update 3. Divorce is official as of this month.
Woo!
Woo! Exactly 1 year after I found out about his infidelity. To say it's been a ride is an understatement. Divorce was filed earlier this year, and he had still been relentless in his efforts for me to have dinner or coffee with him. I've said no each time. The house is still on the market, and it's been much more difficult to sell than I anticipated. I'm dealing with conflicting emotions about selling and losing it. It feels like I'm taking a massive step back in life, losing a low interest rate, and coming to terms with possibly never owning a home again. But I'm hopeful things will be better and better opportunities will arise. Once the divorce was final, a wave of anger went through me, from how long it took to feeling of injustice surrounding everything. He continued to ask for us to work it out, of trying to essentially buy me with vacations, cars, anything. It was such a strange experience. And even now, he's still trying to meet up. And by the way, you can always meet up with us by listening to full episodes with stories just like this. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, search up OK Storytime. For what? I have no clue. He's still with the mistress as well, and I fully expect him to be married by the end of the year. Overall, I think the real healing is starting now. I've been in survival mode for a year, and I hope my house sells soon so I can sever the final tie. Although it doesn't make me less sad about having to move, hopefully I can get my number changed soon so he can't contact me anymore once I move.
Yeah,
I hope you
block
can
him in
too.
every way that you can once you're divorced. I asked my wife about our old affair, and she just said, "Why now?"
Bringing up the past.
I'm not sure what I should do. My wife and I had an insanely perfect marriage for the last 10 years, but the first few years were pretty rough. We met at work waiting tables back in 2008, dated for a couple of years, and got married in September 2012. By the way, this comes from Jaded Raspberry 3873, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Carly.
Our marriage started out rocky. I was working 60 to 70 hours a week to try and give her the life she deserved. She has the type of personality where she's friends with everyone. She had a weird relationship with our boss before we started dating. His wife wanted an open marriage so she could sleep around. He didn't want it, but inevitably had to find somebody to sleep with to make it seem fair. That person was my wife. They slept together a dozen or so times before we started dating. She told me about this before the first time we slept together. She said there was no emotional connection and that he was just a friend she slept with because she felt bad about his marriage. She continued to be friends with him with nothing physical happening. I had found a career that was hopefully going to bring us a great future, and she continued waiting tables while finishing school. As the years went on, I got increasingly uncomfortable with her talking to him. I expressed my concern, and she told me he was just a friend and that I couldn't decide who her friends were. It bothered me, but I trusted her. We got married in September 2012 and invited all of our coworkers, including him, to our wedding. Fast forward to July 4th, 2013, she handed me her phone for something, and I looked down and saw text messages from him that said, "I wish I could bring you breakfast in bed. I wish you were here." I said, "Well, I can't believe I've been this stupid. We didn't even make it a full year." She swore up and down that nothing happened, that there were only inappropriate texts, and that was it.
Well, now that's something that happened.
That always gets me when people are like, no, nothing happened. It's like, I specifically told you I was uncomfortable with this.
Yeah.
Specifically asked you about this. You lied to me. That is a betrayal of trust. You were emotionally cheating. It
Right.
doesn't matter if nothing physical happened. We were constantly arguing, and I was drinking at the time, so there was definitely friction. I chose to believe her as long as she found a new job and cut ties. She did, for the most part. Fast forward a couple more years. We ended up having our first daughter and then 2 more within the next 3 years. Life was stressful with 3 kids under 3 and me working crazy hours to provide, but we were great. Our lives continued to become more and more amazing over the years. I ended up buying the business I work for and expanding it. Wow. My work schedule became minimal. Our kids were all in school full time, so we would spend our days together doing whatever we wanted. We took family vacations several times a year. Nice house, her dream car, my dream car. It was what we had worked toward, and we were finally enjoying the spoils. Over the last 12 years, every once in a while, the thought would pop into my head that maybe she didn't tell me the truth. I was always able to push it down because I chose to believe her. Then one day, 6 months ago, she said something while talking to her friend on the phone about work. Well, he's oblivious. In reference to me. Could mean a lot of different things.
I was gonna say, I feel like that's not anything to be like crazy concerned
Yeah,
about.
it could be like she wanted you to buy her flowers.
Right.
He's oblivious about buying me
Yeah.
flowers. Something about it made me spend the next 5 months digging
5
through old
months?
phones, laptops, tablets, and purses to try and find something that would confirm my worst fears. I didn't find much other than a couple of old texts that led me to ask the question. When I asked her on December 23rd this past year, she immediately started crying and said, "Why now?" She admitted to sleeping with him twice. I believe that to be true based on the thousands of texts and the timeline I built over 5 months. She said she was lonely and that I was mean to her back then. He was nice to her at the time, and she drove to his house and slept with him. She said all the usual things. It was terrible. She didn't like it. He was small, but she went back one more time a week later. She says she doesn't know why she went back. She swears there was never an emotional connection. The spicy sleep was terrible, and it really had nothing to do with him. It could have been anybody at the time. She was just so alone. She swore on our children's lives that it was only twice, and never happened before or after. About 6 years ago, he sent her an email checking in to see how she was doing. She showed it to me and sent him a mean email back, telling him to never contact her again, that he almost ruined the best thing that happened to her. I'm sorry, is she saying that she sent him a mean email right now?
Huh?
So he sent something 6 years ago?
And she just responded?
Or is she saying that she sent a mean email 6 years ago? Because if she sent the mean email 6 years ago, that's fine, I guess. I mean, still should have, not fine, but, still should have showed OP and all that. But if she sent it right now, that's honestly,
It's
worse.
weird. It's like
you could have just let
reopening
it,
the connection.
We've been on a roller coaster of fighting, intimacy, sadness, and me leaving for a couple of nights. It's not only that she cheated, it's that she lied for 12 years. The amazing life we've built was founded on a lie. She's been very open and willing to do whatever it takes to prove to me how sorry she is, and that there was nothing else that ever happened. I don't know what to do. I can't sleep. I'm having panic attacks. We have 3 young, beautiful daughters and a business we share. Any advice is appreciated. And there was a comment. You don't know at all. She wasn't lonely. He wasn't small. It was the best spicy sleep she's ever had. She settled for you because he wouldn't leave his wife. She is a confirmed serial liar.
What was that comment?
Ouch, jeez. My next door neighbor went through the same thing. He found out she cheated on him with a coworker while they were engaged. 17 years later, he found a letter she had written to him but didn't send. Their affair lasted 3 weeks, according to the letter. He confronted her and she confirmed it, telling him it was over 17 years ago and should not matter. He started thinking about the things that had happened in the past, such as her suddenly going on a girls' trip with her friends, going on work trips and staying in the city to sightsee for 3 to 4 days, and so on. He wanted to stay with her, but found that he was triggered when she went to the grocery store, but came back later than normal, so he divorced her. He has been extremely happy since the divorce and is back to his old self. 2 years after their divorce, he learned that 2 of his 3 children were not biologically his. Can you move past all of those years of deception, lies, and now wondering how many times she may have slept with another man behind your back? She's obviously a great liar and a master manipulator. Her saying, "Why now?" is so telling and problematic. If she had been honest, you will never know the truth. There is an update, folks, but any thoughts?
Wow. Well, that commenter, that was crazy.
Yeah, well.
I feel as though we take that with a grain of salt because yes, it's good information to have, but
Sure.
that may spiral you well beyond what actually happened.
Just focus on your own relationship.
Yeah.
I've decided I want to try and work on our marriage as long as she's willing to put in the same effort. She's agreed to write out a timeline of the affair in detail. She's agreed to go to individual therapy, and then after a couple of months of sessions, couples therapy. She agreed to a polygraph, but after reading more about them, I'm not sure I'll go through with it. I might just pretend we're going and see if she changes her story before we get there. I am still not okay, and I'm in individual therapy as well. My oldest kid was having panic attacks the last month or so. She knew what was going on, and I've left the house a couple of times to stay at hotels. I told her it was for work, but she's a smart kid. It took a lot of back and forth, me changing my mind almost every day. But I do believe what we had is worth at least trying to save. I don't know if I'm someone who will get past it, and only time will tell. It's time for you guys to listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit left to this story. Any final thoughts?
No, I'm glad you guys are in therapy. Yeah. I hope that it does what it can, and I hope that, your kids are all right.
Yeah. It's going to be tough. It's going to be so hard. So
That's
hard.
rough.
And you might, OP, don't get into the mindset that, you get halfway through the therapy and then you're like, it's not working, but I've spent all this money, I've done all this time, I can't quit now. It's like, you know what? You always can go back on that decision.
Yeah.
If you feel like it's not working, you can never trust her the same way you did before, then that's also an option. Or it might work and you can stay together, but you don't have to, make up your mind right now.
Agreed.
Your child's sudden panic attacks show the ongoing malevolence of your wife's lying all this time. As a father, I would be beyond livid and would have a hard time looking at my wife without feeling some color of contempt, probably forever. I hope you are far more benevolent with your relationship with your wife. Do you realize that you cannot save the past once you know that you were unaware of a layer of illusion? That's truly what your wife was referring to with her friend about you being oblivious. She's been disrespecting you in plain sight. For these 12 years, a crime of the heart. The cliche lies you can live with was your wife's operating policy, but her letting out the truth had consequences. painful ones at that, which are still unfolding. You can attempt to heal and reinvent your relationship, but the work is not easy. So I've been told. I think your oldest mental health is the key focus here. Good luck. OP says, my child's sudden panic attacks are from me yelling at their mother for the first time ever in front of them. It was extreme, and she heard me say, you effed your boss? It was a lot of conversations and apologies to her, but if someone is arguing at school, she goes into a panic attack. While my wife cheating is what caused me yelling, it doesn't excuse me doing that in front of her. In all of this, that's the worst thing I could have done. But that is the end of that story, folks.
My wife cheated with her boss, then played the victim when I filed for divorce.
Too bad. You're done.
I recently discovered that my wife of 5 years and partner of 8 years has been having an affair with her boss.
Rough.
We have 2 children together, and I'm completely at a loss. She's military, so we have all our health care through her. I'm terrified of losing our benefits, but I can't forgive what I found on her phone. By the way, this comes from Phoenix Original. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
I'm Sophia.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. The person she got caught with isn't the only guy she was talking to.
Oh, this marriage is not gonna end well.
There were 3 or 4 other men I found her flirting with.
Ooh.
I know she deletes her messages, so there's more than I've been able to find. When I confronted her, she had a mental health crisis and is now in a psychiatric facility for 2 weeks. I'm alone with the kids, trying to handle everything on my own. I'm currently a full-time student and have been struggling to get my assignments in on time while taking care of everything else. She keeps saying she's sorry and doesn't want to live without me, but I know she's still lying about things she doesn't know I have proof of. I'm just spiraling and haven't had a chance to process everything since confronting her last week. I don't know what to do. A voice in my head keeps telling me I never should have confronted her. Another keeps telling me I should just try to move on. And another is telling me I can never forgive someone who hurt me like this. I want to be strong enough to leave, but I'm so afraid. We have an update. Before my wife checked into the psychiatric hospital, we had talked about doing things amicably and even going to counseling to save our marriage. She was released this week on Wednesday, but for the week prior, she'd gone radio silent. No calls to check on the kids, no calls to check on me. When she finally did call, it was a brief 2-minute phone call where she asked if she got anything in the mail. When I said no, she hung up. That was what finally sent me over the edge. I kept thinking, I'm out here trying to take care of all of our bills, watch where I'm spending money, cut back on non-essentials, get the kids to their extracurricular activities, and figure out how I'm going to survive as a full-time student and stay-at-home parent. Meanwhile, she's just doing whatever. And her boss is down the street, not worried about what they did to my children and my own lives. So I contacted my attorney and told him to start the paperwork. I wanted primary custody, child support, and the house. He told me I had an extremely strong case. After a retainer of $10,000, I started down the divorce road. When my wife was released from the hospital, she came back to the house and we had a long talk. I told her if she was serious about reconciling, she needed to prove she was willing to put some skin in the game. From all accounts I'd heard, she was planning on screwing me in divorce court in a couple of months if she hadn't been caught. I let her know I was told as much and said, from my perspective, you were planning on hurting me as much as you could. But the dice didn't roll in your favor, and now you're looking for security because you're in serious trouble. I told her to find an apartment. We have 60 days for the divorce to be finalized in our state. We could try marriage counseling, but I need to protect myself so I can be the best dad possible for my children. If she wanted to fix things, she needed to show me she wasn't planning on ruining my life and give me the space I need to heal. Maybe somewhere down the road, therapy can fix things internally for me, and possibly between us, but for right now, I know she's still withholding information and lying. I held her hand when she was sick and needed infusions at the hospital. I carried her to bed on nights she was in too much pain to walk, and it wasn't enough for her. She chose what she did, and now she's dealing with the consequences. Her family came out to watch her for a few days when she got released, and they're obviously taking her side. When the process server gave her the paperwork, she tried taking the kids, but I told her she couldn't. Her family tried blaming me and telling me I was messed up for doing this, But I told them I had a right to react how I chose in response to what she did. She took pretty much everything of hers from the house and left last night. It's been radio silent since. I'm writing this as my kids play with their toys in the other room. My assignments have all been turned in on time. I'm still holding a 4.0 GPA. The laundry is almost done, the dishes are drying, and dinner is already set for tonight. I've made every practice for them in the last 2 weeks, kept the house clean, and even found some time for myself last Friday night. We have another update. Wow, OP, though, you're crushing it.
You're doing great, dude.
Doing
I mean,
great.
it's such a hard thing to work through, especially
Yeah.
when you have kids involved, but I feel like you're really doing your best,
Yeah.
and your best is looking good.
Sounds like you know what you want. You're going after it. A few days after my last post, my soon-to-be ex-wife finally reached out to set up spending time with the kids. It was haphazardly done an hour before their bedtime. When I said I was uncomfortable with letting her take them and wanted to discuss it in the morning, she said, "So you're withholding the children from me? Am I understanding that right?" I knew from her demeanor and use of the word withholding that she was laying a legal trap. So I let her take the children under the written agreement that they would be returned to me in 2 days and that her visiting family would be there to watch the kids as well. I spent those 2 days getting some much needed rest. I hadn't really had a chance to rest since D-Day, so it was in a way a welcome respite. She seemed upset that night, but came by the next morning to pick up some things for the kids. She was back to her old self, the woman I married, and it shattered the dam that had been holding my emotions for the last month. I cried uncontrollably and started having a panic attack in the entranceway. She stopped what she was doing and knelt down to me and just held me, told me everything was going to be all right. She loved me and that things would work out no matter what. When I calmed down, she kissed me one last time and left. On the day the kids were set to return, she texted me an hour before the agreed time and said she wasn't bringing them back. I called her numerous times. She picked up once, told me I couldn't have them back, and then hung up. It was late in the afternoon on the weekend, and I was unable to get a hold of my attorney. His secretary actually called me from her personal line and told me to just make sure everything was in text message between us and to hold on for our court date scheduled in a few days. What followed was one of the worst weekends of my life. I had panic attacks seemingly every hour, couldn't sleep, barely ate, and just held on for dear life. I was reminded of an old sailor's saying, "Hold fast," and that is what I did in the storm I found myself in. When my court date arrived, I was about as nervous as I could have been. I knew at this point my soon-to-be ex-wife had been lying to people about what happened. She had turned every neighbor we talked to regularly against me, and they all won't talk to me. I was afraid. But my lawyer and I arrived an hour early and strategized. Her attorney and her arrived 5 minutes before the hearing and tried to pin everything on me, saying I was a liar, a manipulator, that I put her in the psych ward against her will.
Ha ha ha, so we
And-
have texts.
And that she was only depressed because I had spent days screaming at her. My lawyer calmly played one of the recordings I had at her. I started the recording before I walked into the house as I didn't know what to expect. In the recording, she talked about how I was the better parent. I always stopped her from snapping at the kids, how she had been harmful to me for a long time, that therapy wasn't helping her, and she didn't know how to control herself. The demeanor of her and her attorney changed very quickly from arrogance to uncertainty. I then revealed that she had been withholding the children from me for a week in violation of the court order, and that was enough to get them to strike a deal with us.
Woo!
I am now the primary custodian of my 2 children.
Woo!
She has to pay me $450 a month in child support
Woo!
and is now under mandated supervised visits with the children. She must send me her GPS location at all times when she has them. The return of my children has been one of the greatest senses of relief in my life. I have sat deployed in hardened shelters waiting for the all-clear signal from inbound rockets, and have never felt that level of relief as I did in court that morning. We were getting by just barely that month she was gone without supporting us, and knowing that I'm getting child support has lifted a great weight off my shoulders. There is nothing now for us other than to wait for our mediation date to split all our assets and finally be done. The punishment against my spouse and her affair partner from the military has been dropped. He is set to retire in less than 50 days. The base has decided to sweep everything under the rug after quietly removing him from his command. I wish I could say I was angry, but at this point, I don't even care. I got the only 2 people who have mattered in the divorce. My
Aw.
soon-to-be ex-wife can have everyone else. And by the way, you can have every full episode with stories just like this by going to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and searching up OK Storytime.
Obviously, this was incredibly hard and just a really difficult process for you, but it seems like you handled it really well, and now you're being rewarded for that.
Yay!
So, you know, take those wins.
I find myself at times still angry that they both get away with what they did to my children, but I'm not afforded the luxury of anger now. I need to focus on being a good single parent, and that anger is only going to hold me down. It's hard most days, but I feel a little lighter and a little more calm each day. This weekend is her first scheduled weekend of custody since violating the original court order. I'm not sure what to do with myself after being a single parent the last month and a half. I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow, and then I think I'm going kayaking for a bit. And that's the end of that
Nice.
story.
That sounds lovely.
Yeah, schedule a little bit of time with friends that you haven't seen. Maybe.
Yeah.